Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. Today we're talking about a part of self-care that often gets overlooked, especially when we've been through difficult seasons of life. So today we're going to look at caring for the body. Last week we talked about self-care as a responsibility, not an indulgence, not bubble baths and candles, but the steady act of caring for the life that we've been given. Today, we're going to explore one very practical way that we can do that. And I've invited someone special to join me today, Stef Cooper from Fiercely Fit.
Hi, everybody.
I've had the privilege of watching Stef develop a deep respect for what caring the body can do for a person's life. And I'm excited to share her with you today. Before we begin our conversation, I want to invite you to arrive with us just for a moment. If it feels comfortable, let your shoulders soften. Let them relax and pull them away from your ears. And I usually do this by accentuating them way up here when I'm stressed and then just dropping them, and do it a couple of times. Take a slow breath in and let it go. Notice the body you're living in today. Not to judge it, not to fix it, simply to notice it. The body has carried you through a lot. One more breath in and out. And I'm excited to get started. Stef, let's start at the beginning. What first sparked your interest in fitness?
I've always been active. Even as a kid, I was a competitive athlete, and moving my body always was just something I did. It was a natural thing. After I went to college and I became a nurse, I ended up moving to the United States and I worked in Texas and I was working a lot of hours. So fitness just kind of went by the wayside. Then we moved back to Canada, had a couple of kids. And then as you know, life gets busy, you're chasing after toddlers, you're eating the things off their plates and things like that. I needed to get back to being active and making sure that I was taking care of myself instead of just taking care of everybody else. So I decided, after gaining a bunch of weight after kids and COVID, that it was high time I did something for myself. So I hired a coach and I started getting back into taking care of my body instead of making sure everybody else's bodies were taken care of.
Awesome. Was there a particular moment or experience that made you realize fitness was becoming more important in your life?
Yes, because once I started getting back into moving my body and making that commitment to myself, I started feeling like the fog had lifted. I could think straight. I could do the things I needed without feeling like I was overwhelmed. Adding something into my schedule at the beginning didn't seem like it was going to be something that would actually make me feel like I had more opportunities to get things done, but it made it so that I could organize myself better. I could have the things done for my day because I knew what I needed to do for myself was done. I made that investment in myself and I made it a non negotiable. So it translated into making those other habits, and the habits I was building, it translated into almost every other aspect of my life.
Wow, that's quite a lot. That one thing that you decided to do, move your body, made that many differences in your life.
Well, moving your body is one aspect of it, because in order to make it something that you've committed to, habits need to be formed. So having those habits and stacking those habits after making that commitment to yourself makes it easier to apply them to other areas. So I would apply them to work, I would apply them to family, because habits are exactly that. Instead of having a quote unquote bad habit of coming home from work, having a glass of wine and sitting on the couch, I made it a habit to come home, make sure that I was nourishing my body with good whole foods, with things that were fueling me instead of just feeding my emotions, and taking the time to move my body, which then my kids watched. They would sometimes work out with me. They would sometimes sit with me and just watch me doing it. So I was being a good influence for my children as well. So, and then it became kind of a family thing.
So, what surprised you most about that journey?
What surprised me the most was how much more effective I was in every other aspect of my life.
Okay.
I could be more present at work. I could get more things accomplished. If I got my workouts done and I got some steps in before I came to work, that it was almost like it catapulted my entire day. So it was getting off on the right foot and my brain was clear. I started regulating my hormones better. Little did I know at the time entering perimenopause, a lot of the issues that I was dealing with were hormonal, but it helped to regulate my hormones so that my cycle got more regular. I was able to have less mood swings. My husband noticed that I was less up and down, that he didn't have to go, okay, which Stef am I getting today? That was a big thing. I was so dysregulated with my hormones and my nutrition that it was affecting every aspect of my life.
Right. So, when people hear the term fitness coach, they often imagine intense workouts and strict rules. How would you describe your approach to fitness?
I'm not just a fitness coach. I'm a lifestyle and wellness coach. So
Okay.
I don't just look at fitness. I don't just look at you moving your body. I'm not that personal trainer who's going to yell at you in the gym. I do virtual coaching, but we focus more on the mindset of having a well body. And those things encompass, like what I was talking about, was habits, making sure that you have a good foundation of good habits that are going to feed you for your lifestyle. But also, fitness doesn't have to be this high intensity, like high interval training. It doesn't have to be something that you think of as a punishment. Oh my gosh, I ate a slice of cake yesterday, so now I need to go and cardio myself to death because I'm punishing myself. I don't look at it like that. I look at it as like feed your body with whole nutritious foods. There's really no such thing as a bad food, but also what you can fit in your lifestyle, what you want to do, things that you enjoy doing, and then tweaking it a little bit to add things that would make things work in your body better. So I'm a very big advocate for resistance training, especially in women, because it has so many good benefits for longevity and for hormone regulation, bone density, tons of different things that are beneficial to women with resistance training. But it doesn't mean that you have to go to a gym and do a whole bunch of like these gym bro workouts. Sometimes it just means some body weight exercises that create resistance. I work with tons of different women who have different levels of activity and different levels of ability when it comes to fitness. And I program things that would work for that client. Oftentimes, I do notice that they progress and we can move them to a little bit more resistance training, adding weights and things like that. But I don't push anybody and force anybody to do anything that they aren't capable of doing. I do push in terms of encouragement because most people, especially women, have a tendency to say, oh my gosh, there's no way I can do that. I can't do that. When oftentimes it's a, well, why can't you? Let's dig into that a little bit and talk about why you think you can't. Because if you think you can't, you're right. But if you start thinking you can, then you'll be able to do it.
Awesome. So, you said before that you can tailor a program for each
Mhm.
woman because we're
Mhm.
all so unique and so different and come from different backgrounds and different cultures. Can you give me an example of how you would give a certain program based on the lifestyle that she already lives?
Well, a great example is I've had clients that are elite athletes who are marathon runners. Their programs are going to look different than somebody who hasn't worked out in decades.
Right.
I can cater it to exactly where you're starting. I can put as much high interval intensity training and strength training in for experienced people, but the focus has to be nutrition and mindset regardless. But if you're just getting to the point where you want to start moving your body, maybe we just start with walking and we focus on our nutrition. What I want to do is I want to habit stack. This doesn't have to be something overwhelming, like I have to do this, I have to do this. There's so many aspects that we have to do. No, we
Right.
start with one thing. And it's a staircase and it's a slow staircase, but we want to make sure that we're getting one step before we do the next so it doesn't overwhelm anybody.
So many of the women who follow the Wisdom Wednesday have spent years taking care of everybody else, and their own health has always ended up at the bottom of the list. It's not a priority. So, what do you wish more women understood about caring for their bodies?
I would really love it if women would understand that caring for their body is literally their ability to care for other people. Pouring into everybody else is only going to downregulate your metabolism. It's going to really mess up your central nervous system because then you're going to be on high alert, high stress mode all the time. And it's going to really mess with your hormones. So even just taking that first step, literally first step, even if it's just walking, will help to re-regulate your body, get that central nervous system normalized so that your body can actually go, I don't have to be in survival mode anymore because I'm doing this for me, and everything else will seem so much easier. Having that connection with your own body is going to make it that it's easier to pour into other people too when you have more to pour. It fills your cup first.
Good to know because we often think of, oh, I'm going to start out on a workout out program and I'm going to hurt for days. But I like the fact that you say you start with something small, you focus on, the mental aspect and nutrition before you get into really heavy workouts. And it's a progression. It's
And
not
it's
you start at the top end.
right. And it's different for everybody. Like I meet you where you start, right? I meet you
Right.
wherever you're at. If you're somebody who's had experience in working out, any type of exercise, then we can start there. But if it's somebody who hasn't worked out in decades, we'll start with something really small, one habit at a time, and stack those habits until we get a bigger picture of a really good system in place that's a lifestyle. Because I don't believe in dieting. I'm not on a diet. If I want to lose weight and I want to lose a couple pounds, I don't go on a diet. I just change the amounts of macronutrients I'm eating and the amount of expenditure, energy expenditure I do. If I'm maintaining, then I maintain because I eat food and I still move my body every day. I don't put people on a diet. I help
Okay.
people adjust their lifestyle to meet their goal.
Wonderful. What changes do you see mentally and emotionally when women begin caring for their body consistently?
Sometimes it's a roller coaster. As with any journey, there's going to be ups and downs. You have a honeymoon phase. There's always a honeymoon phase that everybody's like, oh, this is great. Like everything's going good. And then they lose a few pounds. Things are great. They're in awesome momentum. And then all of a sudden they stall a little bit or the scale goes up a little bit. And that's when I often will take the scale away from some of my clients and say, just don't weigh yourself, right? Because the scale is only one metric that we look at. I look at how you're feeling, how your clothes are fitting. Sometimes it can be a bit of an emotional journey because of that emotional connection that society has told us that that scale is somehow your self-worth. That scale is telling you. It's totally not because it's basically you're just gravitational pull towards the earth. So some women do have a lot of difficulty taking that piece away and saying, well, I need the scale to say this certain number. My certain number, and like if I have the same number on the scale as you do, I'm going to look completely different because we're
Okay.
two completely different people. So
Right.
somebody telling me that, 120 pounds is exactly what, somebody my height should be. If I was 120 pounds, I'd probably look really sick. I would look ill. When you build muscle and you build the things that are going to carry your body and give you the ability to walk upstairs when you're 80 and 90 years old, when you're building those types of things, that's when the body composition changes. So having the trust in the process, knowing that you have a coach you have accountability to a coach, but that's going to cheer you on. Those are the things that I want women to know is that you're not alone in this. The ups and downs are going to happen. Sometimes it's going to look like a toddler who like uses a crayon to color everything, but at the end of the day, we have to look at the bigger picture. Are
Okay.
we slowly getting to where we need to go and making sure we're doing it in a healthy way so that we don't dysregulate hormones?
Okay. One of the fears I find that many women have is that fitness takes over their lives. So, how do you help women build strength without spending endless hours in a gym.
Oh, you definitely don't need to spend endless hours in the gym. When you do that, you can get symptoms of overtraining, which is actually going to do you more harm than good. I start women on very easy workouts, 20, 30 minutes with whatever time they have that will actually work to torch fat for the next 24 to 48 hours because of the types of movements we're doing and using the science behind why these movements work to increase your metabolism, to get that fat burning machine working, and to build some muscle in and of itself. Just having extra muscle burns more calories throughout the day. So wanting to build that muscle and lose weight at the same time, it does take a strategic plan in order to do that, but it's definitely doable.
Okay. Now, your program also has a nutritional component to it.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to include that?
Honestly, because nutrition is key. You can move your body and do all the weight training or do all the cardio classes or Pilates or whatever it is that you think is going to work. But unless you fix your diet, you're getting nowhere. Nutrition is like 90%. I know that people have heard that it's 80% of your fitness and 80% of how you look is what is made in the kitchen. I would argue to say that it's 90. I have had clients that have not been able to actually move their body because of an injury, and we fix their nutrition and they still lose weight. So
Okay.
it's feeding your body the right types of things. And most women, believe it or not, undereat.
That's me.
Yeah. And especially undereat in important macronutrients like protein and carbs. A lot of the way things are presented to you right now, packaged meals and all these convenience things that we have are higher in fat, higher in refined sugars, and there's not enough protein. Even the things that are marketed as high protein, unless the majority of the calories in that package come from protein, it's not a good protein source. Having good sources of protein, natural sources of protein, and the right types of carbohydrates and the right types of fats in the right amounts is key for women, for hormone regulation and for making sure that we're maintaining good muscle mass.
That makes total sense. Harder to do, though, that I have found is eating more for me is really difficult. Number one, I don't enjoy food that much.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I often forget to eat if I'm involved in a project. And with those two things, eating more often to me becomes a chore. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like all I'm thinking about is food. And I know other women have said the same thing that, when they have to eat, like instead of eating 3 times a day, they eat 4 or 5 or sometimes even 6 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
All they think about is food. How do you help them with that component?
So when a client starts with me, I usually get them to give me a 3-day diet record. What are you eating now? How often are you eating? And the times of day that you're eating. And what does your digestion look like? Because that is a huge component in it. So sometimes it's a matter of just tweaking what you're eating to make it a little more protein dense,
Hmm.
having a little bit more bang for your buck in the meals that you are eating, and making it easy to prep. So, not having to spend an hour every day making dinner, if you have 1 or 2 days a week where you're batch cooking food that you can just throw together, that you know is going to be in the right amounts, that you know is going to have the right types of foods in there, the right carbs and fiber. Fiber is huge for women. So making sure you have those in place makes it so much easier. You don't have to think about prepping it. So if it's already ready, it's easier to take. And especially if busy women, if they're running around with kids, if they're running around here and there trying to take care of aging parents and all of this, I have things in meal plans that I can program that are grab and go, that would be a really good whole meal, a very well centered meal, and making sure that we're keeping that in mind. So it's a fully catered program. It's custom to every single client that I have. And we adjust as we go because I do weekly check ins with my clients. How is this working? What isn't working? How can I make it work for you? So it's not something that's a thou shalt. It's a I'm going to work with you and meet you where
Mm.
you're at so that we can make this successful.
Okay. So it sounds good.
Mm.
If a woman listening today is thinking, I know I need to care for my body, but I don't know where to start, what would you say to her?
Just walk. The weather is getting nicer. Just even a 10-minute walk once a day, twice a day, whatever you can get in would be a huge step in the right direction. The next big thing is drink more water.
Yeah, we're often dehydrated.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So if you just start moving your body a little bit more and aim to drink like 3 liters of water a day, maybe if you're not even close to that, just start drinking more. Drink a cup of water every hour, and then you'll be good at the end of the day. But just taking a walk, enjoying the vitamin D that we're finally having, listen to the birds, take a big breath of fresh air, like connect with your breath outside and just walk. Just take a couple of steps. Doesn't have to be for long, and just start there.
Awesome. And what about on those rainy days? Walking is still important.
Walking is still important. I know it's like I might be a little bit of a princess. I sometimes don't like to go walking outside because my hair does funky things in the rain. But if you can, and if you can muster it, still go out for a walk. If not, then even just doing some movement in and around your house, doing some squats in the kitchen while you're making dinner, or doing squats in the bathroom when you're brushing your teeth before you go to bed, walking lunges to your bedroom from the kitchen, or whatever, what have you. A little bit of movement goes a long way.
Yeah. I find even push-ups on the kitchen counter while I'm waiting for something to boil
Yeah.
is usually pretty good. You can usually get 5 or 6 in. And
Yeah.
then the next thing you know, at the end of the day, when you counted them up, you've got 20, 25, 30 push-ups in. And
Yeah.
you do start to see a change in the arms and across the chest.
For sure.
And when you see those little changes, it makes it easier to keep going.
Yes. Which is huge. That's why most of my clients, I don't look at the scale. I look at body measurements and I look at body composition
Okay.
because those are the things that are going to change first. So my scale
Awesome.
hasn't changed in months, and yet my body composition is completely different than it was 2 months ago because I changed my program.
Okay.
So it's those things that make wrapping your head around the different concept of what fitness can look like for you and what your goal is. I mean, it oftentimes isn't the number on the scale. I've hit the number on the scale of what I thought my goal was in the first place, and I didn't like how I looked. So it was okay. Let's have another goal then. What is my goal? It's a composition look, not a scale.
Was that a big mindset to change for you?
Yeah, because my self-worth was wrapped up on the scale a lot, which is a lot of women have that. So because I thought if I had to be this number, like the BMI number that the medical community tells you. And as a registered nurse, I can say that we do use that in patients as an indicator for certain things. Completely for me, like I'm technically overweight according to the standard BMI scales, and I'm definitely don't look it, and I've got a lot more muscle mass than a woman of my age. I don't pay much attention to that. I pay more attention to health metrics, like how far can you walk without getting short of breath? Can you walk up a flight of stairs without getting short of breath or without having leg pain? It's those things that are more important than a number on a scale.
Okay. What about for women who have mobility issues? Like we're seeing a lot more women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s
Mm-hmm.
having mobility issues. They're not centered or they're kind of off balance or they have to use a walker or a cane. They're getting hip replacements, knee replacements. How do you coach somebody like that?
There are plenty of exercises that even for chair-bound people or people who have mobility issues, limited mobility, that I can program for you. There's resistance bands that we can use, even just light ones. I mean, even a soup can, doing some bicep curls with soup cans. Starting somewhere is better than nothing. And a lot of times, mobility issues and those joint issues have been years of carrying around weight that you don't need to be carrying around. And a lot of that can be started dealing with nutrition.
Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned to me earlier that you have a special offer for women today. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, typically clients would sign up for a 3, 6, or 12-month program. So If anybody that's watching today would like to reach out and have a talk, the consultation's free. A conversation is always free with me because I want to make sure that we're a good fit. I don't take on clients that are like, oh, I don't know if this is, for me, because I want to make sure that we're both committed to each other. For anybody watching today, if they do reach out and do sign up with me in one of my coaching programs, I will be giving a 20% discount to anybody from this webinar today.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that. See, I love the way Stef approaches fitness, not as a punishment and not as pressure and not as having to go to the gym, because personally, I don't like the gym environment at all. But I like the way she supports the life you want to live, not a life that she sees you doing, but the life that you actually want to live. You see, because your body carries your experiences, it carries your stress, your healing, and caring for it is one form, one of the most practical forms of self-respect. So as we move through the rest of our day, I invite you to notice your body. Notice your body with a little more kindness. It's carried you farther than you realize, and it's still carrying you forward. Stef, how can people contact you?
I can give you the email address for my company, and I can give you my cell phone number as well so that anybody can reach out to me. Even just text me and say, I want to have a chat. I saw your webinar. I'm happy to have either email or text message.
Okay. And I will put that information in the description for this video. Okay.
Fantastic.
So that's all we have for you today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll talk again soon.
For sure.
Okay. Take care.